Welcome to a True Orbit tutorial. I'm Zorodek and I'll be taking you through some very basic landing and taking off with and without assistance today. Today we're going to be flying in an Imperial Eagle. This ship has been kitted out rather excessively, however it will serve the purpose of doing this minor tutorial. So first things first, I'm returning myself to surface. What I've done here is I have added an auto docking computer and a Supercruise Assistant module. So first things first, I will launch using the auto launch. All I am doing is maintaining my throttle at 0, and while my throttle is maintained at 0, the ship will take itself out. It's already retracted its undercarriage and it does everything autonomously. That being said, I'm relatively impatient, so as I exit the slot, I will probably boost and accelerate out of the way towards my destination. Here I have moved all my pips into engines. That's just to increase my overall acceleration and top speed. The more pips in engines, the more your top speed can be held. Navigation menu on the left hand side is normally the number 1 key, or if you have assigned it somewhere else you can do so. I've set Huangwei as my destination. It's not too far away, I know my ship can do it. In the bottom right hand corner you see a blue lit up area on your fuel bar. This is how much fuel your ship is going to use making this single jump. I believe having all 4 pips into engines may increase the speed of your frameshift drive charge, however I have absolutely no idea whether it genuinely does, and sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's quicker, depending on the size of the objects around you at the time. To jump to systems, I believe the default key is J. If you're using a flight stick, it's probably Tango 3 or something of equivalent that you have bound yourself to do a Supercruise jump. If your target destination is within the same system, it will do the same thing. So now that I have arrived in the new system, I have a fuel scoop on this ship and I need to maintain a specific distance away from the sun, not too close as to overheat and die, and not too far away that I'm there for hours and hours and hours. So you've got this little green line around the circumference of the sun, somewhat around the corona. If I keep my nose away from this in most larger ships, I'm not going to overheat and I'm not going to damage my ship in any significant manner. That being said, this is a smaller ship, so I've kept a bit more of a distance as the heat seems to not dissipate as well. Once I finish fuel scooping here, I shall select a new destination and head towards that for a future purpose. Fuel scooping complete. I'm now going to have a look for where the nearest station is in this system. There are a few planetary areas, however I'm going to go to the station. If you noticed on the left hand screen there was 2 icons, Lock Target and Supercruise Assistant Target as well, which is the little square. All I have to do is align with that target, ensure that my acceleration is within the blue reticule, which is on the central right hand side of the minimap. Once I have aligned and that my acceleration is within that blue region, it will take over automatically and take me towards this ring. Realigning myself ever so slightly. If you notice the station orientation on the bottom left hand side of my cockpit, you can see as I maneuver, it maneuvers as well. So when I drop out of Supercruise to the station, this is going to be the approximate orientation of the station when I leave Supercruise. So I try and get myself pointing towards the area I know the exit and entrance is for that station. I'm pretty much head on here, so if you look at the orientation of the station, I'm going to be dropping in ever so slightly. If you're paying attention to how this autopilot is also speeding my vessel towards the station, it tends to accelerate you to within 7 or 8 seconds of arrival, and it maintains that 7 or 8 seconds to arrival. This is the safest speed to approach a station. If you go down to 6 seconds, it is recoverable. If you drop down to 5 seconds, the chances are you're going to overshoot and do the ring of shame. Or the loop of shame, I should say. It is recoverable if you drop to 5 seconds, if you're going to be passing very close to a large planet or any planet for that matter. However, it is unlikely that you will recover and you will overshoot. So maintaining 7 seconds is safe. 6 seconds would be a rapid entry, however, it's going to be relatively difficult to maintain all the time. And also, you've always got the risk of dropping into that 5-second range and overshooting your target. Now I'm approaching the station. All I have done is ask for docking permission in my contacts menu. At that point, I throttle down to 0, and the ship has taken over. The auto docking process will be completely autonomous, just as the exit docking process. It will take me in here and take me to the dock. If you notice, as we pass through the slot, our little aiming reticule just to the left of the minimap changes, and it now shows us the orientation of where the docking pad is. Until the point we pass through the slot, that aiming reticule will show us where the station is in comparison to our ship. Once we are within the station, it will show us where our docking pad is in relation to our ship. It's brilliant for the larger ships when you can't see immediately around you. Okay, I'm going to turn off the docking computer and I'm going to turn off the Supercruise Assistant, and we're going to do the return journey with manual controls only. Let's hope I don't smash myself into the side of the station again. Now be aware, when pressing launch after docking, it will literally spin you around and drop you. At which point you need to accelerate upwards to make sure that you are clear before or during retracting your landing gear. Exiting the station quite quickly here. But if you notice that not using the docking assistant is a much more efficient way of time, especially if you're jumping from station to station, handing in missions and completing objectives. Yes, docking assistants and Supercruise assistants make life a lot easier for travelling around the stars. That being said, if you want to do it quickly, manual is the way forward. Also, on specific ships, my Type 10 mining ship for example, I do not have the space to have both of these assistants installed. I have had to prioritise other modules on my ship, and therefore I cannot use both Supercruise and docking assistants. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have either. So learning how to do this yourself is an integral part of the game for when you really want to maximise the build of your vessels later on. I also actually really enjoy docking in the game, and I think those that only ever do it automated are missing out on quite an enjoyable aspect of flying your vessel. Use Control Alt and Spacebar to go into the third person view, that's pretty standard for most. And then I cycle through my Tango 5 and Tango 6 buttons for ship control and camera control. Once again, you notice the green line around the corona of the sun, the aura of the sun. As long as I stay outside of that, I'm not going to crash into the sun, overheat and die. Even if you do crash into the sun and overheat, you're not really going to cause yourself too much damage immediately. As long as you maneuver yourself out and jump quickly, you should be fine. You will take some module damage, but you can repair that. So, I'm approaching Crown Horizons, accelerating as much as I can. If I keep my acceleration in that blue line, then I shouldn't be overshooting the station. Obviously I'm going to max accelerate because you do accelerate slightly quicker and approach the station a lot quicker. Once I get to the station, I would throttle down and try to maintain the 8 to 6 seconds ratio, hopefully dropping down to 6 and hopefully not going into the 5-second range. I'd fluctuate my throttle on the approach. Ready for once I drop below 5.68 million miles, as it says on the left hand side, the blue zone of our distance. At 5.68 million miles, it will allow me to drop out of Supercruise by pressing the J key or the Tango 3 key on my controller, and that will drop me into the instance of the station. If you notice, my speed reticule is now dropped below the maximum line, and I can accelerate back to 100% at this point because it's most likely not going to take me outside of that blue zone again. I've dropped into the system and immediately boosted towards the station, ensuring that my distance is less than 7.5 kilometers from the station. I request docking permission and they give me a pad straight away, pad 1, which I know is going to be either immediately above me or immediately below me once I enter the station. so I need to slow down pretty quickly once entering, making sure I don't hit anything on the way in. That would be a bargain. So it's immediately above me, I'll drop my landing gear and I'll bring myself into land. Normally you can come in quite slowly and you can lower yourself down without taking any damage. I'm not too used to flying an Eagle, so I'm going to hit the deck pretty hard. Don't forget to refuel your ship in any station that you dock at. It is extremely cheap and saves a lot of time from scooping from stars if you have an underrated fuel scoop or if your ship basically doesn't have one. While you're there, make sure you've not taken any damage. You can repair, restock limpets and all the good stuff which we'll go into in other tutorials. This is an extremely basic flight tutorial for the guys who are just entering the game. Ensure that you've added myself as a friend and I can get you into the True Orbit Squadron, and you can come along and play some fun stuff with us as soon as possible. Right guys, catch you in a bit.